Hello.
Hey everybody!
Hi.
Hey, how's it going, friends, over there on the other side of that screen?
Hello.
Hope everybody's having a great Sunday. Welcome back to another episode number 6 of Design with Us. And you know what? I think we should just start off giving a big thanks to everyone that's come here today. And if this is your first time checking out Design with Us, I'm Drew Bridewell. I'm your host, and then we have my co-host here, and your name is, sir? Jude Bridewell. And just so if you didn't know, Jude hosts a YouTube show called Jude Gamer TV, where he's playing games, all sorts of games. And then I also teach user experience design. I have coaching programs for user experience design, and this is our opportunity to take a step into the gaming industry and design a video game and learn about the ins and outs of doing designing a video game. So by trade, I'm a product designer. Been designing products for about 15 years, and I currently work full time at Facebook and also teach user experience design on lynda.com and LinkedIn Learning, and that show is called Practical UX Weekly. So if you haven't checked that out, feel free.
Yes.
It's good stuff. And then, so what we're doing today, we have made a ton of progress on our show. And last week we were working on kind of like our UI and our user experience. So if you haven't seen this big giant map, this was some of our sketching and stuff that I'll put on the screen here so you can see it. But we kind of thought this week we'd give you a little bit of a break. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the world, and we just want to kind of thank everybody that's been showing their support for our for the black community, and like Black Lives Do Matter, and we really just want to support all the people out there that are protesting peacefully and like what they're doing to benefit the cause. So thank you for everything that you do. We do support you. So what else are we doing? Oh yeah, so just kind of to change it up a little bit, we are going to be designing a logo today. And if you've never designed a logo, it is not the end. It is not that. It can be really challenging, but it can also be a ton of fun. And if you haven't done it before, then maybe grab a piece of paper, take a second to go run and grab some paper, and you can design a logo along with us. We're going to be switching between different mediums. We're going to have a piece of paper. We're going to have an iPad. And then we're also going to have our Illustrator file up here, because we're going to take it in steps, and we're going to probably do 15 minutes intervals on these different things. So, oh, here we go. Oh yeah, it looks like we're still live. We're good.
Let's go. Thank you.
All right, here we go. Thanks for joining again, for anybody that just joined. So again, we're going to be designing a logo, so let's just jump into it. How's that sound, Jude?
Yes.
Are you ready for this?
I am ready for this.
All right. Do you want to here, we'll start flipping this over. So what we're going to do first is, whenever you start thinking about a logo, you often want to try to connect with the definition of what the brand is, and what does it mean to have a logo? What does it stand for? Is it a logo mark? Is it a logotype? A logotype is simply what you see here on the screen. So if I was to zoom in, and I'm just going to hit Z on my keyboard, and I'm going to zoom all the way in. Here we go. And then this file is an Adobe product called Illustrator. And Illustrator is actually a really powerful vector drawing tool. Yeah. And this allows us to kind of work in an endless canvas, but also be able to resize things quite a bit. So we're going to be working here. So logotype is simply changing and leveraging just typography, and typography is the text that you see here on the screen, and changing that to just have a logotype. Now, if we wanted to have a symbol, symbols typically are, certain shapes. So you might have like a logo that fits inside of a circle. You might have another one that fits inside of a rectangle, or even just a square. And what we're going to do today is we're going to explore a couple of these different shapes. And I mean, Jude, there could also be one for for other types of shapes and and
Sweet.
fun sizes and stuff. So we'll get into that, and that will be a lot of fun. And then we're also going to do some sketching, which I'll also just flip the camera so you can see that as well. And do you have any questions so far, G, before we begin with our logo design for Rollerworld?
Okay, so it's basically gonna be like every single Roblox game when you look at it, you see the cover. So it's basically gonna be that.
Yes, this is a good question. So where is this going to show up? And that's a really good thing when you're thinking about a logo and where it's going to appear. Is it going to appear on your shirt? Is it going to appear on your new ball cap? Is it going to appear as a sticker or as a keychain? Or is it just going to, live digitally? And I think when you create a logo, you want to think about all of the above. You want to think about where it's going to live. Is it going to be printed out on a pen, for example?
Printed out on a
Yeah,
pen?
like printing the logo type. Oh, here we go. On our pen. So like we got a Sharpie. Would you want Rollerworld to be on a pen if you were sending out pens to people?
Why not?
Why not? Exactly. So that's just something else that we want to consider. Or if you have like your favorite cup and you wanted your logo to be on that, or probably wouldn't work on that glass, but you get the idea. So we get to think about that. So the first thing that we want to do is kind of define our brand. So if you didn't remember, Jude, you want to remind the audience what Rollerworld is?
Rollerworld is basically okay. So Rollerworld, just think of it like this: you're at this amazing museum park thingamajig, and you get to get your rollerblades. You get your rollerblades. It's gonna be so much fun. You get a rollerblade with your friends. You get to do races, all of the above, and the best part is there's PvP. So you can get your favorite anime characters. You could get their weapons, so like Kuna or like Rasengan. You could get all those and then battle and like player v player. So yeah, that's Rollerworld.
Awesome.
There's a lot more more stuff. I can talk.
No, I think you did great. That's a great explanation. And there's a lot more to it, but Jude, in a minute or two to explain the whole entire game, that's pretty awesome. So can I get a big high five for that? Booyah, kasha. Okay, here we go. Black Lives Matter. Yep. Yes, they do. Thanks, Jude, for the shout out there. And all right, so what we're gonna do first is we're gonna do some research. And we know that what Rollerworld is, but what we want to do is kind of just get some inspiration. And we're going to time box this to about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, but we're going to do some research on the type of logo that we might want to have. So we're going to use our hefty friend, Google, and we're going to come over to Google. And I already, sorry?
Screen?
Oh, yeah. Booyah. Okay, there we go.
Now,
so what I did first was you can often start your research. So if you're trying to design a logo, and if you're on the chat and you're just trying to design a logo, if you want to just put in a name or something that you're trying to build a logo for, we can give you some examples of what you could search for if you have any questions.
Wait, go into like Roblox.
You want to go to Roblox?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have there's like tons of really good. Can I control it real quick?
Sure.
Okay. So we could just go to games. Okay.
So tell us what you're doing here, Jude, because we're riffing on this. And let me set the time timer. And just so you know, the time timer is real. Here we go. We're gonna set it to 10 minutes, and the clock starts now.
Okay. So you see the front page for this game called Arsenal. Look how crisp. No trailer. We don't need the trailer. But like, look how crisp this stuff looks.
Well, these are thumbnails and graphics from the game, right? So they're not necessarily the logo or Logotype. So let's go back. Okay, so what I'm seeing here is Arsenal Showtime. That's kind of like and then there's another type. But these aren't necessarily I mean, that could be the logo, but it looks like it's not persistent across the different thumbnails.
That's true.
So
we
let's see what
persistent.
I think if we're trying to create a brand and we're trying to create a game, we want that logo to be seen. We want that to be shown up like in other places. Is there another example of a game that you think has a good logo, Jude?
Okay, let me look. Okay.
Because there was even another logo type that I just saw that looked a little bit different too. So right here, Bloxburg, that's kind of like a logo type. It's just got the blue gradient. Adopt Me, again, it looks not necessarily like a logo type. It's just like they chose one font and they put an exclamation point at the end. Okay, Theme Park Tycoon. That's an example of a little bit more of a logo type right here. Right here. Yeah, so
Oh yeah, that's what we're looking for.
so it's kind of like it feels like an amusement park. Ours is going to feel like an amusement park, but we kind of also want to be like fantasy like, right? We don't want to just be I mean, that's not bad. This is it's eye-catching and it's has this little neon lighting. That could be an example. So, actually, do you mind going back to that and just here I can go back. What we're going to do is we're just going to save this image. We're going to right-click on this just so we can have it as inspiration, okay? So I'm going to say Command V. So I just copied it and yeah, we can make it smaller.
That's really big.
All right. So that's something we want to reference maybe. Okay. Is there anything else in Roblox that you can think of, Jude? So we got Restaurant Tycoon.
I don't know why. I just really think the story. You see that aquarium story? Just think that photo that you guys very.
This one?
Yeah, that's very eye-catching.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's just use these as kind of inspiration and we can keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, wow, that's big.
That looks pretty cool.
So this one's one of the better ones that I've seen inside of Roblox. So if we were to kind of break this logo down, and if you can see it here in the screen here, what they're doing, they have this is very busy, by the way. There's a lot of stuff going on. So if you try to shrink this down to a smaller size, you probably might not get all this detail of this grass. You might not get all the detail of, the bubbles in the water. But when it's big thumbnail like this, it works actually pretty fantastic. It's kind of, it looks like there's some shark fins here. And you got a magical splash, and I actually do like how they did the type here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, okay. So that's an example. It's not bad. And cool. So we have that as a reference, and I think they did a good job of having it clean with the background, making it feel like it's in water, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So those are some good things. I mean, you could keep going, right? We should keep going. Where if we just wanted to I just typed in Rollerworld just to make sure that there was no other Rollerworlds out there, but there is a couple. There's a couple things coming up in Google, but nothing that's really jumping out. Yeah, so let me even take away the illustrations here.
Oh, yeah.
And again, when you're doing your research, oh, look at this. Rollerworld. When you're doing your research for this, you don't have to spend all the time in the world doing it. You just need something to start stimulating your brain, something that's going to kind of wake up. Okay, here we go. Here's another example of a treatment. I don't like it either. I don't like it either. It looks like my Illustrator might have yeah, let me see here. While my Illustrator might have crashed, I will bring that right open, and while Jude's going to give us another shout out here. All right, let's go back to screen. All right. And, oh, wow, I lost those screenshots, but that's all right. We will survive. So Eunice said, I think most of the game logos have a mixture of logo font and object from the game. I see this as a pattern. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, so maybe that's something we can absolutely include where we're thinking about wheels, we're thinking about worlds, we're thinking about different dimensions or different things that happen inside the game. So that's something we should definitely consider when we start sketching this out.
Yes.
All right, cool. And I'm just going to go ahead and grab those images that we lost from when the game shut down. It did not save.
That's so mean.
It's so mean.
Why would Illustrator ever waste our time?
Yeah. Well, Illustrator it's a great program, but that definitely is a bummer. All right, cool. So the other thing that you could do is when you're starting out, you really also don't want to just start just drawing. I mean, drawing is really, really good, but you can also start getting really simple with just starting with type. So if you go to fonts.adobe.com, this is Adobe Fonts, and you can generate a lot of different concepts from this as well. So here you can make the text size super big, super small. So if you're looking at what your world is, and I was imagining that this might be like come together as one word. You can also bring it into a grid so you can see it in a different format.
So
this one's kind of weird.
Oh, I really dislike that.
You dislike that?
Dude, that's giving me like, oh god, I can't even look at that.
Oh, so this one's
God.
making Jude
Cover
your eyes. Avert. So let's just also just kind of and there's different things about this. So there's sans serif, serif, slab serif, script, black letter, mono, hand, and decorative. Now, if you don't know what those are, let's kind of break that down real quick. So a sans serif. A sans serif is the tip of the letters that actually don't have these serifs. So if I was to go to sans serif, they're usually like very clean, like there's not a lot of extra movement happening across the letter. So let me just show you the difference between a serif. So this is a sans serif, okay? If we go to serif, you start to see these additional, let me see if I can zoom in.
Oh, I see it.
Let me
So
scroll. Yeah, these extra markers here that the extra bits that come off. And you can see that they're a little bit stronger here. Hello, welcome to the stream. And again, you can see these serifs coming off. So when you're usually serifs are used when you have big, bold headlines. And a headline is something like in a like an article that you're reading. The headline of what the article is about might be in a serif, and then you might have the reading of the elements in a sans serif. Yeah. But you can, because you wouldn't want your whole thing to be read inside of a serif font. That can be really challenging.
Try that.
The decorative?
Oh god,
Oh yeah, Jude. There you go. That's what you were talking about, which is what
Dude, that one's kind of.
So this one's kind of fun, yeah. So let's just say you kind of like that one, right? So you might want to explore that later. So what we can do here is we can view the family. And then right here, it's showing that there's different weights of this, which I think is really fun because we could play around with this sort of thing. And this is called the Bungie Font. It's hailing from Southern California by David and Jonathan Ross. Great job, team. So what we're going to do, since we have an Adobe account, what we can do is we can activate these 5 accounts. And then when we activate them, because we're using Adobe products, we can come over here and we could just make a copy by holding Option, clicking and dragging. And Jude, I want you to actually give this a shot, okay? If you hold Option and click and drag that Rollerworld and make a duplicate of that.
Okay, now what?
Awesome. Now what I want you to do is I want you to double click it. And I want you to come up to the Myriad Pro up in the top where it says the character. And what we're going to find is that Bungie font. So just and then type BU. And there it is. So select the one that you want to try first. And then you can hit escape on your keyboard. And now look what we did. We got that thing in there. So fantastic. And then now we have something that we can play with down the road, and just like another example of a font. So the timer did go off because we were just going to be doing a little bit of research. So this is just an example of some of the research that you can do. You can use Google. You can find your competitors and what they're doing, and then you can start getting into the shapes, okay? Now, obviously, like we're building a logo in a 45-minute session, a live session. You would often want to spend a little bit more time doing a logo, and depending on how
make it better.
I mean, you can always make it better over time, but sometimes something might just come to you in really quantity is more important right now than quality when you're first starting out with the logo. So that's why we're going to shift away from the computer, and we're going to jump over into the iPad Pro. So I'm just going to go ahead and now share my iPad. So if you can see this, I'm zooming in and out.
That's so cool.
You like that? And some cool things that you can do when it comes to or when it comes to the iPad Pro. So I'm using right now a HB pencil because I'm just going to be sketching. So Roller World. All right. So I have my Rollerworld. What's that?
Oh, that's pretty neat.
All right. So there's some cool things that you can do here. And what I was going to show you was I had a square and I had a rectangle on the screen. So if I go back to there, you can see that square and that rectangle. I'm going to zoom in right there. Boom. So the reason why I have these there as references is because when we start that on the iPad, we can start with just having a very light. Here, let me move this over a little bit.
That's pretty neat.
We can just start with having a really light box because I might want to try to have a little bit of a effect where I'm going.
Bam.
So I'm doing like Roller World, but I already realized I ran out of room, right? So I need to kind of come back.
Big brains.
So it might come like on a sign, you know, if somebody's like walking through and there's like a sign there.
Yeah.
So like I'm just trying to get some ideas going, right? So or I might have another one where I want to try to fill up the entire box. Right? And then it's more like it's inside of like a sign or something like that. You know, I'm just like kind of doodling, or there might be like a circle and then I might want to have it kind of be like a, you know, have you ever seen a sticker where it's like, and then there's like maybe a rollerblade or something inside, like some sort of effect there? Can we go more than 45 minutes if we have time? Maybe. Or we might just need to continue it for the following week because Jude and I have a very busy schedule, don't we? We have to keep that schedule going. But if there's something specific, Eunice, that you're really curious about, just let us know, man. We'll make it happen for you. All right, so there's another kind of concept. So there's also so I could keep drawing those for days and just keep coming up with ideas. But there's also another kind of cool thing where if I wanted to bring in type. So let me find out where my type is actually. Add type. So I'm going to type in roller. All right, so this is really kind of a fun thing about Procreate. Now, Procreate, again, is an iPad app, and it's really powerful when you start playing with type because you can do a lot of things like really, really fast. And it's almost sometimes, I think, a little bit more like it's nice to take a step back and not be on your computer all the time when you're designing a logo or really when you're designing anything, because you kind of need to have these spontaneous creative moments.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
We need this.
Yeah, boy.
If you don't have it, then you're not gonna have the big brain ideas, the big ones.
Right, Jude. So I need to move this over. So I'm going to select it. Oh, I need to get my pointer here. I'm gonna move this down, and now I'm gonna come over here and I want to edit this again. All right, so let's just select this, and you know what? There we go. Yeah, I'm a little trying to remember here, because sometimes when I would edit this, it would not let me select it.
Yeah.
Here, I'll just do I'll do a new one. It's totally fine.
Totally.
Like totally. Roller World, and I'm gonna edit style. And what I want to do is I want to get a really heavy, and I want to caps this. There we go. All right. So I've done this one effect in the past where I would. So let's just say I really like this font. What was that? I wonder if I could get What's that font called? It was called It was called Bungie. Let me see if I can get Bungie. So I definitely don't have that font on my. What's she doing, G? All right. So okay. What do you think of this one, Jude? This little like taller one.
I mean, it's good. I think maybe our font, if we like, I think we should have some like, it needs like shadow, maybe some shadow. Let's just see how some shadow works.
Okay, well, I think like shadowing would probably be better to do in Illustrator, which we can add at some point. So like, there's like a nice like fat font there. Fat. So I'm gonna duplicate that and then bring it down. And then I'm going to I want to edit this again.
He's gonna press a button.
I'm gonna what?
You're gonna press a button.
Well, before like the getting the select tool back to this thing is causing me. Oh, there we go. All right, so oh yeah, I was gonna show one little effect that I've done in the past that's kind of interesting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna select these with the automatic cursor tool and Bungie. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another layer. Hold on, was it selected? There we go. So I'm gonna select this, and then what I'm gonna do is just like show you a really fun little. Did it just go away again?
Dude, what's going on?
Okay, cool.
Ooh, that's pretty
neat. So this like you know, I mean I'm just doing it with a pen right now, but let me actually change it. I don't want to do it with a pen. So I'm gonna pick some spray paints maybe.
Ooh.
Oh, that's way too big.
Oh my lordy. Not the galaxy right there, bro? Ooh, that looks kind of scary.
It looks kind of scary.
It's kind of creepy.
And then there's a little bit of a lag on my sketch pen. But you can kind of like just do a little bit of a painting to get a little bit of an effect. Not that I want to stick with this, but I could remove this and then I have that effect. And like let's just say like okay, I wanted to have that.
Dude, I
could make it bigger.
That actually looks good though. No, I'm not even doing it.
And then let's just say like I'm just gonna do this for the sake of time because I mean time flies actually when you're having fun. And I'm gonna export this as a ping, and I'm gonna airdrop it to my iMac.
I'm coming.
And then I can see it coming. And now what I need to do is just drop this in. So let's just say I'm over in my projects, and I'm doing over here, and I'm just going to call it Logotype. Logotype. And then I come over, and I'll just like actually, instead of doing it that way, I'm going to open up my Finder window, move that out of the way. And it came into my downloads folder. 1 second. There it is. And I can just drag it in.
Yay.
But I already saw what I didn't do. I didn't make it a transparent ping. So I'm going to come back over into my... 1 second. 1 minute, Jude. All right. So I'm going to turn off my layer, right? So now I can see that. And I'm going to do a ping. I'm just going to do the same process again. So drop it into my iMac. Bring it over. And now it's there. Super fast, not painful at all. So I know that. So that's just like a quick little example of what you can do on the iPad Pro. Neat. Kind of cool. Kind of cool. You can kind of get an idea. But I think there's definitely a lot more stuff that we could do. But let's just jump back over into screen mode. And now that you can see that, I'm gonna type the iPad. Jude, actually, if you want to doodle.
Yes, I will doodle.
On that, we're gonna kind of heat it up with some Illustrator work.
I will make something for everyone. I will make you guys a planet. Okay, wait.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna take out illustration.
All right, cool. So we're over now into Illustrator. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a couple copies of this, and I want to just look at some other fonts. And I know that, like, for example, like this one right here, I'm just going to, just by hitting Shift X, you can kind of turn the outlines to fill or to outline. This is a really nice kind of trick in Illustrator. It also works inside of Figma if you're doing it inside of Figma. So if I like copy this over to Figma, I think it would actually work. Yeah. So and then I can, oops. It does switch to stroke, but it's off of the canvas, so you can't see it.
That's not good.
But that's okay. All right. So there's another way that it could potentially look. We could also end up putting in the leading really tight there, but obviously can't read that. Jude, if you want to see this. So leading is actually the height between like line breaks, and then kerning in graphic design, kerning is the distance between each letter. So like this makes your eyes kind of hurt, right? Looking at this. You really hate it. And then you can make the words actually a little bit wider. So how's Bungie feeling? How's the Bungie type? Oh, there's inline.
Oh god.
So that's giving you a little bit of an inline effect. You don't like that?
No, god, please.
And then there's shade.
I mean, okay. Oh, it's a little bit.
And then this one's kind of
Techy.
It's definitely very techy. And then Jude, there's this really fun thing. So when you do get further along, you can just do Shift Command O, and that just outlines your type. So you can end up, resizing it any which way you want, and then moving it around and putting it places. But anywho, I digress. So let's actually keep doing some studies here. And I do have like a logo template that I've basically created where you'll have like different rounds. So if you have to build a logo for, say, your friend, or different, like for a customer, you would have different rounds of reviews, but you wouldn't just like, and you would want to give options to that experience. So let's just say you were designing a logo for a friend's business, and they have a furniture business, and they ask you to design their logo. So you could actually go in and be like, okay, well, I'm going to need to have a couple of different rounds. So maybe you have like 3 rounds of reviews with your client. And then you also can show, 6 to 9 different versions of a logo that you're really happy with. And don't show logos that you really hate. Like the one Jude just said, he didn't really like that one. You won't want to kind of do that, but you'll want to give them options, and then you'll want to put like numbers next to them, like 01, 02, 03. And I'll just like quickly sketch that out. So like you would have your rounds. So because like when you do this, you would want to give people like options, and not just say you have to choose the one logo that I picked. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So there you go. Like you would have like 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09. And then this would be round 1. And then you would do this. Let me move this up out of the way. So you'd have this one, and then this would be round 2. And then round 2, you might only have 3 logos. And then round 3, you would present like your final direction that you're proposing. And then that proposal would be in different, so you'd have a black and white, you'd have a reversed out, you would also potentially have a colored logo, and then you would want to define the specs around that as well. So let's just keep kind of going. I know designing a logo really fast. Okay. Go ahead.
How do you like? So when I kind to do that like that little sketch thing where you can like outline something. I want to try and do that.
Okay, so are you wanting to do it with text?
No. It's like an image.
You'd first need to outline the shape of what you're going to be drawing.
Yeah, how do I get it on?
So this one,
Oh.
you need to get that image. So you might want to.
Oh.
So Jude's wanting to design an anime character, so he's pulling out an anime character, and then he's gonna draw that. So then just there we go.
It's not going. Go.
Okay. And then Jude, you just have to do it on a different layer. So draw like your outline, and you might want to use and they can't see this, Jude. So do you want to show them what you're doing?
No.
Not yet?
Not yet. It's going to be a surprise for you guys.
For the end of the show. Okay. So there you go.
Okay.
All right, cool. So we're going to get back to so I'm not really a huge fan of that font. So but I also when you do this, it's not really I mean, I don't really like looking at fonts inside of Illustrator. I'd probably prefer to go to like Adobe Fonts to look through them. But I do, I almost think of it like a slab, actually. This isn't too bad, Jude. What do you think of this? Like a little, like... No? Are you more into this sort of, like, slab? Or the serif right here? This could be kind of fun. Let's just say we're going to... So, Rollerworld. I'm just going to kind of doodle for a little bit. And if anybody's got any questions or anything, feel free to ask away, like kind of designing, Rollerworld. You have, maybe in Rollerworld there's like, literally a world where there's a world around it. And I hope everybody had a really good week.
Yes,
Everybody's doing fun stuff. So a little Rollerworld, but obviously that's a little breaking it. But you can try things where like things kind of go off and things kind of stay in the shape. If you wanted to, you just can kind of like play with the shapes and play with let me make this black. And I'm thinking of like what is like a...
I'm gonna ink this.
What's that, Jude?
I'm just gonna ink.
Okay. I feel like the font's a little heavy.
Which one?
This Bungie.
Bungie.
But I think too, if I was to go in and kind of play with the shadows, there's also some like things. I mean, there's so much possible things that you could do. You kind of just have to play, find your find your style.
Find your style, man. Find your style.
Let's see here. I don't want to blur. So Jude, look, so like adding a little like
Epic. I like that.
You like the pink?
Yes, pretty neat.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
There's like a blue. I mean, for Rollerworld, we really haven't decided on the colors and the brands yet because we're still like exploring and it's like kind of like a part-time project. So, it'll be interesting to see. Oops, I accidentally clicked escape. I have such a habit of doing that.
Okay. So
I'm going to hit stylize, drop shadow. And I'm going to move this down to 0, move these down to 2. Let's go down even more and make this 100%. And usually when you do this, you'll end up getting the layer style over here on the right. How can you instruct Adobe to draw on the inner border of a circle? Well, borders of a circle, if I had a stroke, like I could do that like in these like these. So align the stroke. You can align the stroke to the center. You can align the stroke to the inside, and you can align it to the outside. But I already have this drop shadow on here, so it's like way too much. So let me just like remove this. And then I'm gonna come back and go my stylize. Where's my no, not there. I feel like my panel is a little different than what I've seen. 1 second. Let me just find it. Graphic styles, no.
Graphic style.
That's all right. I'll just go back up to stylize. Apply new effects. And then we have, I want it to be like a definitely different color. And right there, it looks like I might have two. What you drawing, Jude?
An anime character.
An anime character?
Yes.
Wow, that's cool.
Pretty neat.
That is really neat.
It's fun. I should
there we
do
go.
This more often.
You should do what more often?
Or draw like anime characters. My handwriting, or like just writing in general,
yeah,
is horrible.
You think it's horrible?
My drawing crap is horrible. I'm sorry, dude.
Well, sometimes you just gotta. Sometimes, man, you just gotta practice.
That's
Like,
what
I gotta say, like when I first started in all of the things, like I played baseball my entire life, but when I first started, like I wasn't the best at everything, but you just have to put in the practice and the time and the energy, like, and then you can get to the point where it is good, and it is like working out really much better. All right, I'm kind of like on an angle here, so I'm trying to like, you know what I mean, but it's fine.
Could go that other like more time.
The inner border of a circle. Oh, of a circle. So if you did have a circle, so I have a circle, and if I just have this turn into like more of a stroke here, and if I wanted to have an inner border of that circle, then you can just come over and like add a, like, pretty sure you can add additional strokes, but there we go. So in the appearance panel, let me just pop that somewhere so it's not going to go away.
Bam, almost
Add new
done.
fill, add new stroke. So Eunice, right here, there's an add new stroke. And then I can now add this, like whatever color I was thinking about. We can go to, let's go to beverages.
Beverages? Like
yeah, there's like beverage
drink?
colors. It's kind of funny.
I could use some drink.
And I want to bring this in on the inside. So now I have these two. So you manage your stroke inside, outside, and middle over here in this stroke panel. And then for your appearance is how you can add additional elements. So if like, if you wanted one of them to be kind of like dashed or something, like, does that look like a roller wheel, Jude?
No.
No.
Not at all.
But you can still like kind of play around and mess with those things. And that's why like sketching things out is so important, because you can have an idea of as far as like what you want before you just start jumping in and doing what we're doing right now. But it's all good.
It's all good.
Oh wow, you're going super detailed, Jude. Just from a time boxing exercise, buddy, you got about 5 minutes.
What? Okay. That's fine.
All right. So even like, I wonder if like if somehow we were to like leverage this and have the Rollerworld.
5 minutes to make this as detailed as I can. Come on.
But I still think it should just be black and white to start. So I probably need to kind of change my shadow to like a gray. Oh, I still have that habit. I always click escape out of my dialog boxes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh
That would
god.
actually look kind of nice on a hat, like a little like black hat there. So do you check that out?
Neat.
And then I kind of want to do one with like a completely different font. So there, I want to make that a little bit lighter. So it's kind of like a, let's see what other weights that we have for this slab. Colombian. Oh, okay. So let's just say we have this element and we wanted to write it on the curve. There's a couple ways to do that. There's type on a path. So we could just click that and then come around here and say roller world. And then oftentimes you never can get it perfectly aligned when you first do that. So there's this little area where you can kind of pull it back a little bit.
How do I get? Wait. Okay. So I have the outline like I think pretty fine. How do I like get rid of the back page thing?
Okay, so you just do this.
Oh shoot.
And then now what are you trying to do from here?
Nothing. I can do it now.
Are you going to paint this guy?
Yeah, I guess.
So what you could do is you could like hold and draw, and then now you can go to a airbrush or
Ooh,
maybe this one.
that's true. Oh
Okay,
yeah,
so
I
like,
should do that.
and then you can cut kind of like.
Okay. I just need the colors.
You need the colors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I could.
So this is where you could go. I drop the colors, and then you got to make sure that you're on a different layer when you color it.
Okay.
All right. So right here,
Wait, how do I take
there's
the
this
color?
weird.
How do you do the thing where you take the color?
Just click and tap. So Jude's wondering, like inside of Procreate, how do you get the colors? So if you have an iPad Pro or another iPad and you have Procreate, if you want to eyedrop a color, you just tap with your Apple Pen or with your finger, and essentially just like hold it down until you get the color to show up, and then you'll have the color selected.
Layer?
So then you can just use it on this layer. It's fine. And then you just switch back to your paintbrush, and then you can paint it. And you can make it smaller or bigger. Yeah.
I just paint.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Sorry for waiting. We are multitasking here, and Jude's got something he wants to show you. And now I lost where I was here. So then I can, if I want to get it like kind of exactly how I want it. There we go. Rollerworld, and then I could have it a couple different places there. So to do that again, you just go in the type tool, and then there's some like other ways to do that as well.
It doesn't really look like it's doing anything.
Let me show you. Yeah, it's not.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
All right, cool. So that's just another thing, and I know my file. This is starting to bother me. On my file is so messy. Here, let me organize this a little bit.
Messy.
There we go.
Oh god, wait, I need my reference.
And what I'm already seeing is like I should have done way more, like a lot of different font.
Where's my reference
styles?
picture?
So your reference picture is right here.
Oh god, how do I like? Is there a way to like color it while seeing it?
Yeah, right here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Cheers.
Cheers. And
all right, cool. Let me try to in the next slide. So Jude, I'm just gonna keep designing this logo, and while we're doing this, what do you think? Like, what was the highlight of your week this week?
My week?
Yeah.
Okay, my week. Probably doing this. This is so much fun.
Cool.
I really love this.
Cool, man. I love it too.
Good.
This kind of font's a little like kind of cartoony. Would you say it's a little cartoony?
I would say it's
The Vengeance. It's the Vengeance font. You know what? Let's go back to our fun, friendly Adobe fonts and see if we can find any. I want to pick a slab serif. So oh yeah, cool. So hopefully that answered your question, Eunice. If you have any other questions, like feel free. Rollerworld. You know what? I'm not digging on that. A nice clean font up in here. I actually really like how Adobe does this. So like when you scroll through, ooh, that's not bad. Rollerworld is a fun adventure park, but it's also where you go to have magical dreams come true. Trajan, Franklin, Rollerworld. Yeah.
How do I? It's not letting me take the.
Oh, it's because you're not on. You're okay. So there you go. But if you're trying to get the full 100% color, you gotta come back.
Wow.
So if you're trying to get there, and then you can come back to this, and then you can just go back. So you just gotta like go back and forth a little bit. Oh, but you already. So what are you trying to do?
Take the color. Yank it.
There you go. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, shoot.
Do you want to share your screen, or you have 8 minutes?
Shoot.
Yeah. So yeah, logo. Not loving that. Maybe look for fonts used for famous action movies instead of just games. Ooh, that'd be fun. I would definitely do that, Eunice. But like in a live setting right now, I don't necessarily like. I guess you could go to Netflix and then look at like graphic arts for like as research as really good cover arts, and that could be another part of the research. But I think just for the live show, I don't necessarily probably want to log into Netflix at the moment. But I think that's a fantastic idea. Very, very creative. Here, I'm gonna. It's a poster. It's a nice little like bold font. Let's just see how that ends up coming in. So. What you got going on, Jude?
Struggling.
Oh, you good, man? Just.
I'm not good.
Let it just happen.
Is it raining? No, it's
just super windy. So I am going to play here with a. Let's see.
Wait, where do I see the work?
I don't mind that. The work?
Oh, where'd it go?
That's it.
Wait, where'd the skin go?
You have it right there. I'm wondering too, like if like this is kind of a like I'm like there's also this thing that you can do. It's called like the Squint Test. So like when you're looking at logos, you want to look at them like really far back and then really close zoomed in. But I think we're definitely gonna probably need to spend more time. So maybe as we keep developing the game, we can start looking at even more ways to bring in some logos. But I wanted to do more drawing, and I didn't do enough drawing today. That's probably like a reflection that I want to actually have some like shapes and some other things happening, where like I'm just where's my vector shapes? Shapes. I need to get my Illustrator. I think this was a good reminder that I need to get my Illustrator, all my things that I always use, like rearranged. Recently, all my settings for all my Adobe programs is completely wiped out. So it takes some serious time, like trying to get all my settings back. But I do have my Astute Graphics plugins that I always use. If you haven't checked out Astute Graphics, and you're Adobe user, oh my gosh,
Oh my.
it's amazing. Astute.
So amazing.
I'm gonna show you right now because I have so much respect for the team here. So it's $120 a year, but the actual things that you can do inside this program are insane, so amazing, and like drawing shapes and creating like illustrations is so much fun, so delightful in here. So you can come in, you have a drawing, and then you can come in and like trace it with your ink scribe. And I'll definitely do a video of that at another point in time. But creating logos sometimes like take a little bit of time. So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So oh, cool. So it's kind of like a fun font. So we got Rollerworld. Let's just actually add a little drop shadow and see how that might kind of feel like a little bit of playful fun.
Playful fun.
Playful fun. But you know what I need to do? Rollerworld. And what I think I want to do.
Stop. Wait. I don't want hiding.
What do you got going on over there?
Stop.
Oh dang, Jude's having it out with the what is this?
I can't even do it because it keeps bringing up this crap. I don't. Yeah.
So you're just not on the right layer, buddy. That's okay. So that's your drawing layer. But you know what, Jude, you're at time. So why don't we just give a little tour of what you drew?
Oh man, this is horrible. Oh man, it's not finished. Oh god, it's horrible.
All right, we're plugging in, and we're coming. So this was Jude, this was a font while you're kind of doodling. So there's that one. There's like this little one in circle.
That's a lot of fonts.
There's some other ones. Right, but we'll keep kind of going in. So like, just in a 30-minute time span, we were talking a lot while we were doing this. Put on your headphones, get your favorite cup of tea or your favorite drink, and just hit it hard. Make sure that when you're designing a logo that you do your research, understand what you want to create. You know that you're going to need to create multiple rounds of this logo, so try to find your creative zone. Make sure you're sketching, and then you're jumping into the tool. Don't jump into Illustrator first. Make sure you sketch and draw first. And those would be like my best practices when creating it. And we'll show you how this kind of develops over time. And what else can I say? Oh yeah, let's look at Jude's.
No, wait, I want to press the button.
You want to push the button?
I must press the embarrassing button.
Oh, don't be embarrassed.
Okay.
It's all about
button.
It's all about like showing what you got. So it's upside down right now.
Yeah. Oh my! What has happened to this one? Okay.
So explain this character. Who's this?
This is a character most of you probably know because it's pretty popular. But if you don't know, so there's this really cool anime, which anime is basically a show. It's a cool thing.
Oh yeah, they definitely know what anime is, right?
Okay, and if you don't know what anime is, hop on that real quick. Yeah, okay, maybe I don't know. Okay, so in this show, there's the main character, which is right here, named Goku, Goku. And right now he's like, wait, want to challenge me?
Want to challenge me?
Yeah.
I'll come. I'm coming. Here I come. Anyway, good job, man. That's a good little fun creative exercise, Jude.
Wait, it's not done.
You got more?
I'll show you guys what I was trying to mirror. Okay, I was trying to mirror okay. So I was trying to mirror this. Wait, let me make that. I was trying to mirror this, but I didn't really have enough time to get all the colors right. Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes this is a good way to just try to learn how to draw something. If you're not drawing every day, it can be a helpful guide, or even just having it up and looking at it and then trying to redraw it.
It's pretty fun. You guys should try it if you have like an iPad or anything. or any drawing.
Good job, man.
It's a lot of fun to just doodle around with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, my failed in attempt Goku character.
Cool. Well, buddy, it's at 5. I'm sorry to like say. I think we gotta kind of close it down with our final statements, our final like words for today. Okay. So I know this was a lot of fun. We could probably keep going, and I know Eunice, you wanted us to keep going, but we gotta keep the show rolling, and we'll keep it coming next week. And again, if you remember, we had our world for Rollerworld, and coming into the game, seeing our community centers, we are going to be working with an amazing developer who I've searched the deep 7 seas for this person, and this person is very talented in building amusement parks inside of he's actually in architecture school, and he's trying to develop and build. Are you mocking me? Are you mocking me? Yes, you are. Jude's getting me good. So it's blah 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 blah. So he's a really great architect, and we're excited to get to work with him. So we'll be working on our worlds and building out some other essentials. And then if you remember our creations of what we were doing inside of the game, we were building out different screens and like what the experiences would be like. There's still a lot of stuff that we have to kind of work through, but it is happening and we're doing it. We did have some sketches of some scenes and things that we wanted to have inside the world, like in different layers. And if we even go back again, we have our character developments and our tasks and to-dos. And then we have our game design documentation, where we actually will break in and break down all the different aspects of the game. So this is definitely not a 12-week 12-week project. It's definitely an ongoing thing, but we're super pumped to bring it to you. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And we just want to thank you for spending the time with us and supporting the channel and supporting this. And we'll definitely see you next week, where we'll pick another fun topic and you'll get to design with us. So hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. All right.
These guys,
Bye.
they're pretty cool. Bye.
Bye.